Wow. We live? We good? We live? It's me, Mario. Hello. Hello, boys and girls. How's it going? Sup, I think we're on time. It's 5 o'clock. Sup, Shredders. How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I can see, if we switch over to here, I can see Shen Da, we've got SYO New Tony, and RCLM. I think we're good. Yeah, we've got people in. How you doing? Hopefully you guys are having a good day. Today we're going to be doing our fan requests. Now, this is almost a kind of a bittersweet thing for me. Because, you know, I like doing fan requests, but I've learned recently that these aren't fair use. And in the spirit of fair use and wanting things to be transformative, I'm going to be changing the stuff that I do with my content on YouTube so that it better fits that mold. I want to make sure that it's respectful to the artists and musicians that I'm working with. So I'm excited to do the fan request today, and I'll be doing the rest of the tracks that we don't get through today next week. But just so you know, okay? I'm just making sure if there are any SP patrons who have not submitted via the Patreon, please let me know. The patrons that I have on the list so far are Dinahe, Andreas, Jacob, Paul, Woody, Shenyida, and Eli. So if you're not on the list at the moment, it means that, because I looked through the Patreon post, and I also looked through stuff, I don't know. Okay? Goku clothes. Nice. Nice, Shinyada. That's awesome. Yeah. Goku clothes is good. Blue Dinner Box says, I'm still deciding my monthly pick. Fair, cool. Well, you take your time. We've still got time in August, and I will be able to get the videos done by August. Don't know why I've got conclusion time there. This is the start of the live stream. I don't know what else to sort of talk about. I suppose I'll quickly mention that I think that... Don't know if I received it. Okay, well, I'll check, and then we'll just have a look there, because I don't want to miss your one, RC. It's okay. We can add it, you know, new pants. Cool. So you'll probably be last out of the patrons just because I've just gotten it, but you will still get played today. Can I see that? It's very difficult to see that. I'm just having a look here. Can I move that? If I go down a little bit and go down, 21 minutes. Yeah, so it was 21 minutes. There we go. So that's it. We've got yours, RC, so it's all good. We're going to be doing the fan requests the usual way we do them, where we look through the tracks you've submitted, and we go from there. Patrons get priority pick in this fan request, but for the final time, I'll try not to reiterate it too much. If you submitted before the start of today's live stream on the community post, even if we don't do your track today, we'll do your track next week, okay? It's all good. All right? Anyways, we're going to get started with the patron picks for today, listening time. I will do the thing about the three, you know, parts of each song that I like, just in the spirit of the previous one. I think it was good to talk about the three things that I liked about each track. Thank you to Dinahe for your choice here. Hang on, I've got a camera there. Let me just... Yeah, let's find the version, the 503 version. That's exactly 5 minutes. Here we are. Better for the live stream. Thank you. Starting with Bialy Socks, Nevermore from Dinahe. Thank you for your request. We got some lyrics here as well. I do like my Bialy stocks, to be honest.
る世界でバンパーに何か当たっても僕たちは飛べる鈍感にも見える世界で Take a great big step forward Take a great big step forward 雨とともに
It's so charming with the falsetto vocals, the combination of the bass, the drum grooves. It's got a nice, really approachable personality to it.
Take a great big step forward Take a great big step forward 歌とともにワイパーが雨を弾いて僕たち手を振る鈍感にも見える世界へ Driving 騒ぎ出す夜は Summer breeze Makes me feel fine 透明にも見える未来へ
Having the charming guitars come in here is really sensational because it's fantastic because it adds this extra sense of freshness in here amongst all the other mid to high resonances. I also appreciate that they're singing in English as well. You know, it makes it easier for me to understand it, you know. I can't believe these guys are a two-piece. Okay, and just before we head into this bigger section, I want to comment on the intricacy with the drum fills as well as just the layering instrumentally here. They really wanted to make the song as interesting as possible. You can tell with all the different entrances and exits of the different layers, the change in the dynamic range. It's fantastic. Great emphasis on the ride cymbals. Almost a galloping kind of groove with the kicks and snares at this point. With the theremin as well, which is kind of unusual. It's impressive that they managed to get all these instruments in here, to be honest. And a great, with some brass as well in there at the end. So, Dinahe, how many different instruments do you think they had in this in this song, because I would say it'd probably be at least a dozen, right? At least a dozen. At least a dozen tracks. At least a dozen instrument within this. From a production perspective, I mean, the three things I liked about this track from Dinahe suggested the Bialystok's Nevermore. This track, Nevermore, had fantastic variety with the different percussive grooves in it. I really appreciated the dedication to detail with those rhythms there. I think that in addition to that, what I really appreciated is the fact that they contrasted the complexity of those rhythms with the roundness of the theme that sounded really soft, amiable, and just really charming. And I think they never took themselves too seriously with the vocal performance. It was clearly, there was moments where you could tell they were trying to reach out to you with the lyrics and everything like that, but they almost never took themselves too seriously, and they had a sense of calm chillness to them, which I think is something that a lot of bands could take notes from and learn. So thank you to Dinahe for your request here. It's a fantastic choice. I have enjoyed listening to Bialystok's, and I'd like to hear more from them in future. But after that track from Dinahe, we now have Andreas with this track from Andy Timmons. Here Lies the Heart. Now, I haven't actually heard of Andy Timmons before, so I'm keen to hear this and listen through it. I'm wondering if it's going to be an ambient track or if it's going to be something more along the lines of some of the instrumental stuff I've heard, but you never know with Andreas's pick. So we're going to continue with this track here and see what happens. But Andreas, thanks for your pick. I mean, what I want to point out, and it's probably obvious to you, is that there is such a fantastic use of space here. With the guitar as the solo instrument, we simultaneously don't seem to feel the need to overwhelm the listener with that. The delays and reverbs make the most of the negative space there, but it's it's so emotive at the same time. I'm sort of trying to consider or figure out how he puts so much feel into it. It's beautiful though, you know? Phenomenal. Phenomenal. That was a fantastic use of 2 minutes. The noise, the lack of any guitaring at the end is tremendous because, when you hear this, it is kind of minimalist. The guy, apparently, from what I can tell, is a session musician, a session guitarist. So, hi, Paul, how's it going? You can kind of tell that this guy knows his way around the 6 strings, but at the same time, you don't. How do I describe it? You know that he's only playing the notes that he feels the need to play. So the 3 things I liked about this track. 1, I liked the fact that it was 2 minutes. I feel as if that length was appropriate for a track like this where you had one main ingredient. You told the story that you wanted to tell with I suppose 2 being a really compelling motif, a melody line, a concept that we would go back to, and we would elaborate on with different tales and twists there. The 3rd thing I like, though, is how when we had the guitar in the center, we would play these lines and then it would go da-dun, da-dun in the sides of the stereo field. I think that's great use of the left and right side of the cans there. We had a lead instrument, which is usually in the center of the stereo field, but we explored the rest there. I just feel as if it was just great use of time. So well done. Thank you to Andreas for your pick. That was fantastic. I had a great time with Andy Timmons. I will give that a like. That is currently my favorite track for today. I adore it. And obviously, if that becomes updated, we'll see as we go. But moving on from Andreas's pick, thank you again. We have got Jacobs with Eason Chan. And it's nice to listen to Eason, to be honest. I would like to do more of his discography. I'm not going to talk too much about what I want to do with the videos simply because I don't like committing to stuff unless I'm absolutely sure I can pull it off. But I would like to have a look through his discography and actually review it in a video, kind of like what I need to do with the Jay Chow stuff as well as Omnipotent Youth Society. But we'll get there in time. For now, hello, welcome, thank you to the coming through the live stream. We will continue with this track from Eason Chan. Think of it. We go to Deep Howl. What is this called? We will thank Jacob first. It's charming with the strings. I just want to get the title of the song first. So what is the title? The title is here, and if we go to Deep Howl and translate it, we. Apparently it is we. According to Deep Howl. Sup, Jacob? How you doing? It's okay. Us. Thank you, Jay's Music. I appreciate it. Again, I'm not super familiar with the language, so whenever people are able to help out, it is genuinely appreciated. But I'm moving that over a little bit. I've got a few windows on the... I've got two monitors, one on this side and one on that side. This side is where I'm looking at for the music. This side's got all my OBS and stuff like that. But continuing. Thank you, Jacob. Welcome to the live stream. As well as to Jay's.
你懂得就够了，真的有某一种悲哀，连泪也不能流，只能目送。我最大的遗憾，是你的遗憾与我有关。 没有句点，已经很完美了。
Nice parallel major.
你误会故事没说完，还能做什么呢？
Head voice.
我连伤感都是奢侈的，我一想念你就那么近。 但终究你都不能陪我到回不去的远方。原来我很快乐，只是不愿承认。在我怀疑世界时，你给过我。
I want to take a moment here to appreciate what we've got going on. Again, it's fairly minimalist, not just because Eason is a fantastic singer, but it's also so he can power the performance by being a solo focus, but also I like the piano accompaniment, but how it's kind of filtered so that it's a little bit more low-key. You know, the piano isn't trying to be the standout, it's trying to sort of accompany, provide a ground floor with everything going on beneath it. To accompany that with the occasional strings in a mid-range kind of poking themselves in from the sides just keeps the interest retained because it's like, well, okay, well, what's going on here? Why is the string harmonizing in this? Is it messing with the third of the chord triad? Is it messing with the fifth, etc.? It's fascinating so far. Great first half. great choice of chord there. I like that. So satisfying with a major lift, man.
我
Lift.
最大的遗憾是你的遗憾与我有关，没有句点已经很完美了，何必误会故事没说完，还能做什么呢？我连伤感都是奢侈的，我一想念你就那么近，但终究你都不
great
能
tension with that
陪
chord there.
我到回不去的远方。原来我
Jacob, I'm going to read through your comment that you've left in the chat in a moment, but what is this track specifically about? I know it's we or us, but is it about a relationship he's had? Is it about something else?
快乐，只是不愿承认，在我怀疑世界时，
Bring the bell curve back with just the keys.
你给过我答案，我感觉到幸福，是看见你幸福。曾经亲手把时间变慢，可惜我们没有等，我们。
Okay, fascinating. I enjoyed my time with that. All right, so let's talk about this for a moment. Let's talk about this for a moment. This track is a fantastic example of Eason Chan's ability as a singer. I have nothing but love, because these are the three things I enjoyed about it. He seems very authentic and genuine within this, like he's having a gentle conversation with the listener. I think that's what a lot of music needs to be. You can only get away with the facade of confidence for so long before you need to show a little bit of extra skin in order for people to really care, especially in the situation we have nowadays where we have so much access to the musicians that we appreciate and adore, you know? Or at least we have the facade of that. The second thing I liked about it is that I think the chord progressions were great. The changes, we had semi-predictable bass lines, but it was the extensions and the triads or beyond those with the seventh chords, for example, even some tension with maybe some minor sixths or something like that, or some other flat intervals. It's those changes there with unpredictable movements there with the higher notes within those outside of the bass that made it really compelling, because it was like, oh wait, why are we going with this then? It simulates a fluctuating roller coaster of emotions, which I think was something that he was trying to, like, as Jacob said, it's weighted in emotions. Eason mentions that he trained hard to produce the emotions he wanted with this song. It's him moving on from a relationship and actually feeling guilty for being happy. I think that this is a smart move. I think that this is well done. It's a beautiful track. I think that with the unpredictable but yet compelling chord progressions and the vocal quality performance we had here, I think it was just it was a lack of drums that really made this special for me as well. I think you could have so easily turned this into a traditional ballad, but it was almost like Eason just wanted to keep things a little bit quiet, a little bit intimate and low key, and I have to respect that. Not every song needs to develop into an absolute banger. This was a very charming piece on its own. So well done. Thank you for that, Jacob. I appreciate you putting this forward. Jacob says, well said, Logan. I think the authenticity here is what made it so memorable. Nothing too fancy, but just so real with the vocals. Exactly. And I think that if you can nail the storytelling and the personality behind the storytelling, it doesn't necessarily matter what instruments you put behind it. It's going to work unless you completely either break the fundamentals of music composition, or your production is completely sort of scuffed, but we didn't have that here. It was commercial grade. So well done to Eason on this piece. I will, of course, add this to the playlist, and we will continue. Again, after Jacob's wonderful piece from Eason, we have Paul7931, with Kevin Penkin, and with Gravity. So we'll thank Paul for this. Kevin Penkin and Arnor Dan. Add that to the playlist. The symphonic introduction to this is wonderful. It reminds me of a Studio Ghibli film. It reminds me of the game that the Studio Ghibli team were involved in. That I'd have to find the name of it. It's just so wonderful how we have that slow build with the volume, and we've all those different, layers there coalescing and with a wonderful unison, and we just continue.
I wanna know where the people are that take my dreams to a world of deception, but I am something more, and we have a place for you that save us from everyone. I wanna know where the city sleeps. I cast my life to a pool of reflection, and I can feel the pain, the dreaming of seeing you as a blessing I'm about to take. Gravity, gravity, gravity. It took all the wisdom. I wanna live to see the golden city because of gravity, gravity. Call the winters bloom 'cause I don't know how.
Sup, Andreas? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Andreas, your track has already been played, but it's my favorite for today, so thank you for putting that through. The guitar was wonderful.
I'm the only one, and I know where I belong.
I mean, like, there is just so much going on within this piece. There's such a variety of the composition, different styles like flamenco, Latin guitar. Again, as Jacob said, some EDM-ish elements here. The symphonic textures we had earlier on coming in and poking their nose in again. It's wonderfully... It's like a big old adventure, isn't it?
Hvað hefur þú gert á borgin mín? Spegilmyndin sýnir mér margt ljósið, en ég finn ekki frið í þið, eigið hlut í mér, eigið lífið kallar eftir mér í leið.
We're using the instruments to kind of rephrase those vocal lines and mirror them, and it's a great choice. Great use of time. Oh yeah, there's trumpets in there. We got the brass in there. We got all sorts of instruments, RC. It's great. Wonderful note to finish on. Sorry, I know I broke the rule going a few seconds over, but I just wanted to I really wanted to hear how that finished. I haven't listened to Kevin Penkin or Arnold Dan before. Paul7931, or may I call you Paul, that was a phenomenal choice. I had a fantastic time listening through this track. I think that they're wonderful musicians, but of course we're going to talk about the three things that I enjoyed about it. And by the way, I know I'm talking about what I like. You guys are more than welcome to talk about what you liked about it in the chat. It's good to hear your thoughts too, and I mean that genuinely. It's nice to talk about stuff like that. The whole purpose of this is to show each other music. But look, one, I love the journey that we went on with this piece as a whole. It wasn't just a static theme that we iterated upon over the next 5 minutes. We didn't build it up like a traditional ballad. It wasn't a contemporary verse, chorus kind of thing. It was through composed. We may have had some phrases and hook lines like the gravity part and the falsetto that we came back to, but it wasn't your traditional kind of, oh, this is predictable kind of thing. The instrumental intro with the symphonic elements, the orchestra, the strings, the brass and everything, and giving way to the guitars that we had, the vocal style with the other elements after that, the drums, etc. It was wonderful. That's another thing. I'll give that as a 2, Paul. I liked the Icelandic singing in the second half too. I think it's great to be able to sing it in more than one language. I think if you are able to make a melody translate between the different languages in a way where it seems just as natural, you've nailed it. And 3, the gravity part, where they sing gravity, it sounds like you're floating within the music. And I think that's something incredibly potent. In addition to the fact that when they're singing gravity, it is in the high point of their vocal range. So it sounds like they're floating on top of the register in their head voice. And it's such a powerful performance. There's dynamic range to it. There's a lot more. Unfortunately, this is probably going to have to be my new favorite track for today. I enjoyed the tracks we have previously, but this is a very special, unique experience that I just haven't had. And it's wonderful. It's very approachable. So well done. Thank you, Paul, for your choice today. That was a fantastic song. And the song is the theme song of the anime Made in Abyss. Well, it's a phenomenal theme song, man. It's great. We got Woody now. Woody's pick for today. Suichu Spiker, Oshiroi. Let us continue. Oh. Ah. So make sure that was headed. I mean, like, is the guitar tone not to die for? I love the freshness. The freshness of it, the interesting time signatures and everything like it. It's sensational. Oh, wonderful. You transition to head voice there. So let's pause. Let's pause for a moment and appreciate the intricacy of the composition, really quickly, because there's just so much cool stuff going on with the different guitar lines, the arpeggios, the various melodies, and riffs that they're playing on the left side of the stereo field, especially combined with how well it's sung. Those vocal melodies sound pristine. And the bass line in the bottom being reasonably well behaved in comparison with the root notes, with the drums, with the finesse of their fills. It's not easy to compose music like this, but they're smashing it. Well, listen to those those paradiddles, man. Sup, Zhang Clark? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. What I will comment on just before we go into this final chorus is I think it's extraordinarily difficult to make music like this without it coming off as pretentious. You're literally going out of your way to try and create music that does not fit within that traditional 4/4 triad, or it doesn't work within swings. You're finding alternative ways to phrase your rhythms and grooves across different meters, and it can be very... If you don't know what you're doing, it can seem almost redundant. But I think what I like... we'll talk about it then, but I'm really vibing with it. I'm trying to follow the time signatures, but they keep changing. How many beats per bar, man? I love it. Makes me so happy, dude. I love when time signatures aren't absolutely predictable. Okay. Thank you to Woody for that wonderful choice. This is like, oh, I hate to be that guy, man. I keep changing my mind on what my favorite track is. I think just there is something about this track which is just so wonderful to me. Well, three things. I'm going to try and break it down the way where, I mean, I don't even think you can compare this track and the previous track. This is purely subjective. Okay, the last track we listened to was an absolute masterstroke. Within math rock, the genre which I have tried to listen to, I haven't always been particularly massively a fan of. Despite loving progressive metal, I like my progressive metal, my crazy time sigs and stuff. The vocals are sensational. The timbre of the singer's voice is an absolute dream, and I would love to be able to find a singer in where I live who could sing similarly to that, with just that sweetness in the voice there, but also like kind of a ghostly wistfulness to it at the same time. It's a weird vibe I get from it, but it's just so pristine in its tone there. And I don't know whether that's their voice naturally, or if it's a specific style, or if it's the effects chain, but I adore it. I adore it to pieces. I really do. I think that with this track, you have someone where, how do I describe it? You not only have the vocals, which I'd love to find like if I was writing music, I'd love to have a vocalist who could sing like this, but you know, also how clean those performances were with the different guitar, bass, and drum parts. It's not often you get a band that sounds this tight on your first impression with them, unless they're like major label grade. And I think that these guys are horrifically, like they need more exposure than this. They've only got like 27,000 plays on their biggest track. They need more love than this. I think they're underrepresented. So if you enjoy their music, please do go show them some love, as per usual. And finally, it's just simply, there's just something special about the way that the chorus was phrased, where we had relatively minimal amounts of change between the various hooks, but it was still compelling. And I can't really pin why that is. I'm usually very kind of anal about how I experience repeated choruses. I need more than just a similar approach between, you know, you can't copy and paste a chorus with me. I don't like it when people do that. It's not enough on the third time. But these guys had a very similar approach with their last chorus to the previous ones, and I think part of that is that they offered so many different interesting riffs and concepts in between that when you got back to that hook, it was like a very special, safe place for you to recite in. I think that's the benefit of working with math rock and different time signatures and stuff like that, and some unusual chromatics or whatever, is that you get away with that. But anyways, thank you to Woody for that wonderful track. I'm just going to make sure that it is added. We've got Shen Da next. Shen Da, welcome. Hopefully you guys are having a good time so far. You know, you're vibing with all that we've been doing today. Nothing stressing you out in your life. I'm having a pretty swell Saturday. Hopefully you are too. It's good to be doing some fan requests, you know. But let's go. Let's start. We've got Zhang Yushing and Ah Mei Shang with this track. I'm assuming this is the correct one. I'm hoping it's the correct one. Hello, Shenyida. Welcome to the live stream. Give me some lyrics.
的伤感的唱。
Just before we go into the next section, I want to point out that I agree with what you guys are talking about. It does sound like a classic. I think part of the tone is that it sounds like a 90s R&B track. The warmth, the approach to the mid-lower resonances there. It doesn't sound too over-polished. It's very intimate, the way that both Zhang, Yushing, and Ame are singing towards each other. It sounds like a duet. It sounds very romantic, you know?
我最深爱的人伤我却是最深，进退我无权选择。轻轻关上心门，留下片刻温存，只怕还有来生，我爱的依然最真。我最深爱的人伤我却是最深，叫人无助的深刻。 点亮一盏灯，温暖我无悔青春，燃尽我所有无言的认真。
Does Zhang Yushing have a weak track? Because we reviewed a couple of his albums. I don't think he's ever had a weak track, and I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I think legitimately just all of his stuff so far has been really good. Like within their respective genres, you know?
两座孤单的魂，会心的眼神。你我的苦境是如此温和，感情的沦落人，相遇在这伤感的城。我最深爱的人伤我却是最深，进退我无权选择。紧紧关上心门，留下片刻温存，只怕还有来生，我爱的依然最深。我最深爱的人伤我却是最深，叫人无助的深刻。点亮一盏灯，温暖我无悔青春，燃尽我所有无言的认真。
Oh, that gave me chills, dude. That's how you do a key change. For anyone watching, that is what I want from every key change. With some exceptions, but most of the time, yeah. What a compelling theme to finish with. Some interesting samples with some padded percussion, the guitars and the whistling, and the pads. Shenyida, this was a wonderful track, and I am genuinely appreciating the fact that you put it forward. It was. It's a pleasure to listen to Zhang Yushing stuff. Again, not because I find myself having a bias, although, to be fair, quality is quality. But at the same time, you know, the thing is, if I was to pick three things that I liked about this track, one is the singing, the duet, the compatibility with both people on the mic, Zhang Yushing and Ame, they are sensational singers. They're sensational singers, but they harmonize so well with each other at the same time. They kept up. There were no weak points. There were no weak notes. We started incredibly intimate with a little bit of vulnerability shown. We increased the oomph there as we went along as well for a bit more power, and it was awesome. It was awesome. Really, really good. I'm noticing that I'm running out of power on my battery. I'll change my camera battery after this so we can continue, but it's a very positive situation for sure. The vocals were a treat, and yeah, it is. It's on low on battery. I'll fix it. Don't worry. I just want to get this done. It's not gonna go flat for another couple of minutes, but the guitar solo in between the two parts of the outro chorus was wonderful. It wasn't a shred fest, but it was such a change from what we had previously. I wasn't expecting us to go hard like that, dude. We'd had inferences of the gritty, the kind of overdriven distorted guitar previously, but it screamed and it was just wonderful. That power there was tremendous. Sometimes less is more. And then we went up that range, of course, for the key change, and that just sold me completely. I mean, finally, for number 3, it's the fact that this is a long track at 5 minutes. Even if you have a couple of verses, even if you have really fascinating stuff going on in the motifs, you really have to find something really special to kind of get it to sit well, especially when it's a slower track. I think that the level of attention to detail with the different instrumental layers, the unusual but encapsulating different textures and timbres within, and the unconventional yet still effective stuff, like including the wonderful diversity to the various drum grooves, especially in the hook, where they were really busy, but they still somehow managed to work with a mixture of normal and ghost note grooves. It's incredible. So thank you to Shinyuda for your choice here. I'm going to be right back. I just need to quickly change over the battery, because otherwise we're going to have a problem. But luckily, I have a spare battery. You'll be pleased to know, because I am a professional music reviewer and I have spare batteries. Where is the spare battery though? I have a sneaking suspicion that I may have been an absolute doofus. Yeah. Go. Are we good? Are we visible? How about now? Are we good? Yay, I'm back. Spare battery. Let's look at chat real quick. Just before we continue. So the battery's been fixed on the camera, so we're okay now, which is good. RC says, Jacob, have you watched The Voice of China New Season? Jacob says, I haven't watched The Voice this year. Is there anyone a note? How often do you find incredibly talented vocalists through these shows? How often? I mean this genuinely, like for anyone who watches like reality TV shows where there are singers. How often do you find incredible singers that you just wouldn't discover otherwise? Does it still like elevate people like it used to do? And if so, does it do it in a genuine way? That is my question about that. And why? It's here we go. Yeah. Hopefully you have a good time at the show, Shinyuda. Getting to watch Arlen. Sounds pretty cool. I have watched only first episode. For me, it's a comedy show. A comedy? That's an interesting take. But it's good to know there are some unique talents on there. That's fantastic. But thank you again to Shinyuda for submitting the track that we listened to there from Zhang Yushing and Ame. Going to add that to the list there. We are going to continue with Eli and their track from Tyler, the Creator. Igor's theme. So let's go. Let's do that. It's hella. It's very intense. This theme is very intense. Oh, I was about to pause it. Just quickly, because I know I don't want to pause too much, etc. But I love the use of these extended synth pads, the almost neo soul funkish kind of theme to them, combined with the crispy tone of the kits with a bit of distortion or drive on them. The really fiery, violent synth that we had there at the start, filling up the space. It's a really fun combination of elements, and I'm starting to get used to Tyler, the Creator. But thank you to Eli for putting it through, by the way. It's an unusual, it's taking a while, but I'm warming up to it, you know? Gonna just say thank you to Shinyida for this. Thank you. I haven't gotten used to like people putting through donations. I'm not very good at it. I wish that it would just copy. Okay. Can I? Thanks for to yours too. Yeah. Igor is a concept album, so it's kind of strange, but in context it all makes sense. This is Igor emotions exploding during his breakup. Thank you, Jacob. And cheers to you, Shinyida, for that donation. It's much appreciated. Cheers to everyone's bright future. The vinyl crackle is kind of dope. Oh, that synth is so bent, dude. It's so noisy, but so good. Right? I mean, it's immensely creative. I've got to hand it to Tyler, the Creator. I haven't really heard music like Tyler, the Creator's music, if I'm honest. It's a very good track. Tyler, the Creator Eli, if you're watching this, you have consistently encouraged me to listen to more of Tyler the Creator's material, and I do enjoy it. This is why part of why I appreciate doing the stuff on YouTube and Patreon, etc. Because I just wouldn't get access to the stuff otherwise. It's a blessing, you know. It really is, because there's just so much cool music out there. Like with Zhang Yushing as well. I wouldn't have heard of Zhang Yushing, and I cry every time I listen to River. So you know. RC says, I remember this album has a few guest appearances. That's cool. That's cool. I wonder who they are. We might have listened to stuff of this album before, to be fair. And then Leon Chen says his entire album is fire. It's good to know. I am scared to review Tyler the Creator because I have a feeling that if I don't get it right, I'm really gonna make a lot of people upset because his music is very, very special to people. But I would like to listen to it at the very least. But anyways, 3 things I liked about this track. 1, I think that the use of those wonderful iridescent synth tones with some really manic, wild tones to them is just sensational. I adore it because it's just, you've got these wonderful, clean, sort of jazzy piano parts. And a drum beat as well that's really unconventional. That's number 2. That beat is not a normal drum beat. And what I mean is, you've got the kicks and snares in different places, accenting some on beats, some off beats. It's like we're trying to extend the groove across bars. That's not something you get often, but it's almost like it helps the track to flow better because you're waiting for it to kind of round up. And you've had a couple of bars extra, you know? So it almost makes the track flow better because of that. The third thing I appreciate is that the vocals are almost like a chant as opposed to a whole lot of stuff just dumped on you. And I kind of enjoyed that the focus is the music when we've already got someone like Tyler the Creator who is so proficient with his rap that he has an equal amount of confidence and yeah, he has an equal amount of confidence with everything. And obviously the production value is just solid because there's a lot of really tense textures here that just might not necessarily work unless you knew which niches to put them in. But we handled it. So thank you to Eli for your request. I had a great time with Tyler the Creator, and I am looking forward to listening to more music from Tyler in or out of these reviews. You know, I just hope it's one of those situations where if Tyler saw me talking about it through some freakish situation where I got that exposure, that he would appreciate what I'm saying and not be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But anyways, moving on to RC's track for today. What have we got? New Pants. New Pants. And I think Zhang Clark, just before I continue, Zhang Clark says, yeah, I would never think to listen to Tyler if it weren't for this live stream. Exactly. That's the beauty of it. So when I talk to people about, if I go out of this, when I talk to people about this fan request live stream, I know that we've only got a couple more of these to go, but guys, we went through almost 600 songs. We have 600 songs in this fan request live stream playlist. Almost 600. You've got a day and a half's worth of music to listen through if you're looking for new stuff. So please, if you're looking for new tunes, make the most of that. It's there. I'm not taking it down. It's going to stay up for perpetuity. Because yeah, I'm proud of what the tracks we've put into it. I know I haven't always gotten it right, but I'm proud of what we've done of you guys and all your requests and stuff like that. It's been good to listen to it. So anyways, moving on with New Pants. As always, yeah, you never know with the playlist, Jacob. You never know what tracks you're going to get. Absolutely, I feel that. But let's go with RC with the song for New Pants. Hey, I know this one.
每当浪潮来临的时候，你会不会也伤心？在拥挤孤独的房
So this track apparently it's called You Want to Dance. It's cool. I've listened to it before, but it's good to hear it again. I enjoy that. I'll go back a little bit. In a moment. Just I appreciate the fact that we're switching between vocalists. If we have different singers, giving them an like the Let's Dance thing, giving the male perspective and then the female perspective, it is great. I think that's a good choice there, thematically. And it's just a really catchy hook line in it. Like it gets stuck in your head. It's repeated to an extent where it's not a detriment. It's just encouraging you to dance. Second within that head voice, that's cool. And reiterating that synth theme, that's cool. Good. Bam 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 dan 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 dan. Sick. I think that's one of the best examples of a first impression single that I've heard. What I like about this track, well, there's several things I like about this track. The first thing that I like about it is that it's so catchy, but it does it in a way where it's not cheesy, it's not creatively devoid. It doesn't try to pander to you. It doesn't try to manipulate you. It's very charismatic and upbeat and friendly. It's like your mate at a party who's trying to get you to get involved. That's what the track sounds like to me in its hook, and I think that's well done. I think the second thing I like about it is that it is relatively simplistic with its composition, so you don't get distracted by a whole lot of crazy elements there that kind of maybe distract from what we're talking about. And it's a good thing to balance what the story needs and what the vocals need. Like you don't want to overcomplicate yourself dancing at a party either. So having like crazy technical instrumental stuff like the math rock we listened to earlier wouldn't have necessarily musically made sense to me anyways. But I suppose finally it's the fact that we kind of just came in and out structurally. We didn't feel the need to lengthen the track to a point where it became necessarily redundant. We had a simple story to tell. We had a couple of verses, one for the male and one for the female perspective, and we were done. And I think that's kind of what we needed to do here. We needed to keep it nice and short and sweet, and they nailed that. So I'm very happy to have listened to this track, You Want to Dance, from New Pants. Thank you to RC for putting through this request. Now, granted, That's the last of the Patreon picks for this fan request. Thank you to the SP patrons who came along and support the channel via the Patreon, but also put through all these wonderful pieces of music to listen to. I genuinely appreciate it. This will obviously be because this is the last of the fan requests we're doing for the foreseeable future until I can figure out a way of doing it where I feel more comfortable with the fair use stuff. But you know, if you want Patreon fan requests, if you want custom monthly music reviews, feel free to go through the Patreon. But I'm not going to push it today. I don't feel like that's in good spirits and good humor. So, again, thank you to the patrons. We are now going to move on. We're doing even more fan requests. Now, the trick with this one is that YouTube does not seem to like to show people's actual usernames anymore. It shows their @ So you'll see here, for example, if I go here, it shows Dida2301. Now, I'm not sure why it's showing people's names like that on the posts, like on the community tab, but it is. So it's something we've got to live with. So if that isn't the name you've chosen, I'm sorry, blame YouTube, all right? But we've got The Wailing Wall by Todd Rundgren. Let's continue. Let's go.
There's a grand old maid across the sea. So the story was recalled to me, and from dawn till dark you hear her call down in front of the Wailing Wall, and she cries all day, so sad and alone, till someone comes along and leads her home.
It's such a satisfying progression to go back down to, isn't it? It's really good. Really good with those chords and those bass line. His voice is so distinctive as well. I feel like if I was listening to music that I hadn't heard before and I heard his voice, I'd recognize it was him.
Nobody listens and nobody seems to care, but every day you'll find them there and kneeling down for sadness' sake, crying just as though their hearts would break. And from dawn till dark you hear them call.
It was nice to have that high-pitched whoa in the background, like someone calling, you know?
Down in front of the
Wailing Wall by Todd Rundgren.
and they cry all day, so sad and alone, till someone comes along and leads them home. You know I don't listen, and you know that I don't care, but every day you'll find me there and kneeling down for sadness' sake, crying just as though my heart would break. And from dawn till dark you'll hear me call.
Wonderful vibrato.
Down in front of the Wailing Wall.
It's interesting they didn't go up. It's like he was like down in front of the Wailing Wall and they didn't want the vocal melody to go up to kind of match that tone. That was cool. That was a smart idea. It's obviously not a particularly positive song. I mean, like if you look at the art for it. It's a woman with like a noose around her neck playing the piano. So that's obviously quite dark, you know. This wasn't. I don't think this was meant to be a particularly positive track for anyone to listen to in regards to the story. But I think 3 things I like about this track. I think that he sang incredibly well. It was a very easy to listen to performance without any notes that would necessarily have caused any ire. It's very safe in regards to the scale choices and stuff like that. At the same time, I think there was enough in here to be able to appreciate, like to add a sense of depth and authenticity to it. The piano lines as well. Piano. How somber it is with some interesting choices here with the extensions on the 7ths. Adds a bit of tonal and emotional complexity to it, which I think it also works well considering the subject matter. And then finally, it was nice and short. You know, not that I need tracks to be super duper short, but it's like we had the piano as a main accompaniment with some backing vocals and stuff like that as well. But we didn't soak it in unnecessary layers. We told the story we needed to. Whilst also giving the listener enough to kind of feast on. And then we kind of left it there. And that was powerful. There's a lot of longer tracks in this album, Runt, The Ballad of Todd Rundgren. But I'm glad I had the opportunity to listen through it because, I mean, we listened to Chain Letter as well. I'm wondering if there is a weak track in this entire album because it doesn't seem to be. But anyways, thank you to Dida2301 for your request. It was great to listen through it. Good to listen through that track. We now have K Kaku Soup, who, as I understand it, is K. And then we have this track here. I'm not sure who it's by though. The Pa Pun Band. So let's go. Let's do it. Oh, it's kind of spiky and perky, isn't it? It's fantastic to have that sense of unison with the synth leads as well as the vocals. They aren't there all the time, but when they are, it's almost like a development of the theme there, and it's great to have as a staged thing to be like, oh, that's something new, and it's just satisfying. With the offbeat open hi-hats, or the hi-hat accents. I was about to comment on the fact that the guitars on the right side of the stereo field seemed a little bit low key in regards to the frequency response, but then we had like the kind of the grungy kind of overdriven guitars, and it was great. I think that was a nice transition there. It would have been a shame to have kept the guitars that low key the whole time, so I'm glad they were double tracking them on the stereo field. Yeah, lots of power behind that. The sass to those sort of guitars on the low end, dude. Yep, more power, bring it up. They're really singing their hearts out, aren't they? And just the dynamic range bringing it down like that is awesome. Up and back to the perky synth motif. No complaints. Charming. That was wonderful. I had a great time with that. I think that the three things I liked about that. So, Kay, first of all, thank you for putting this through. I liked the synth motif. The lead motif that we had there was very simple and approachable and easy to kind of vibe with and understand. I would also put forward that part of that is because it was trying to do the kind of the fundamental thing of mirroring the lead motif that the vocals put forward. It's good when you have a vocal melody, something that you are trying to carry as the main message of the song, to have other instruments to kind of back that up and interact with it. If you don't do that, what can occur is people can often sort of feel alienated or like the song is kind of missing a lost stuff. Okay, hello. The mood of it is, dude broke up with a girl, she found a new boyfriend first, but life goes on. Oh, that is definitely a mood. I think part of... Okay, with that in mind, let's talk about the second thing, the vocals. I don't know if the vocals are one of my favorite things from this track, but I think the mood or the delivery of them is definitely a plus. If we consider the context of what the song's about within it, let's be honest with it, the tone of almost apathy that I got from that performance was very effective. You know, he kind of sounded like, you know, like it was potentially a frustrating experience or like it affected him, but almost to a extent where they sounded disaffected, and that tone came through very authentically within the track. You know, within the vocal performance there. But it's worth noting, of course, that we had some moments in the middle where the vocals got a bit more heavy and intense, I think. So that was that frustration being expressed. The vocals were very expressive, and I think they were very flexible performatively, which I appreciated. The final thing I liked about it is that, you know, the guitars knew not to argue with the synth leads. We didn't feel the need to have more than one main contingent thing going on where... How do I describe it? I just think if we tried to replace the synth lead with something else when it was so perky and so charismatic and so enamoring, it wouldn't have been nearly as effective. It would have been a little bit too much, even in a track which is almost 4 minutes. We had enough variety within the arrangement to not require that. It was a really great use of time. So I'm going to add that to the playlist. Thank you again to Kay for that. I appreciate you putting that through. I'm going to give that a like. It's not my favorite track from today, but it's definitely a very, very good one. So we're going to continue forward with Katanagi 831 with the Rolling Stones. Now, this will be a fun one. If anything is going to get this live stream blocked, copyright blocked, it's probably going to be the Rolling Stones. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rolling Stones... okay, so there's a few messages. I'm just going to quickly sort of talk to them. Leon Chen says, love how the song built up. Absolutely. I agree with that too. I do think that the dynamic range there was there, and I think also compositionally there was a great journey that we went on. There was no filler. Now, of course, we've got to figure out where Lanny's choice was. So you can tell here that potentially, where is it? Yeah, Man Who Laughs. Here we go. So you might have quickly seen that your track is maybe not going to get played today. Now, don't worry. To reiterate, if your track doesn't get played today, no worries, Jacob. It's all good. To reiterate to anyone watching this, if your track doesn't get played today, we will be doing another fan request next week at the same time. So I will be playing all the tracks on this current list. That said, if you did not get your fan request in before this live stream, it won't be added to the list, because the last thing I want is for it to be a really, really long live stream, and for the last live stream to be one where it's like 7 hours and I run out of energy and it's shit. So I wanted to make sure that this live stream was good and the next live stream is good. I want it to be positive experiences. So don't worry, you'll get played, okay? It's all good. But where are we up to? No, we're up to Katanagi. Here we go. Let It Bleed. Welcome back, Jacob. And no worries, Lanny. Haven't listened to much Rolling Stones, to be fair. That's good to hear more.
Well, we all need someone we can lean on. And if you want it, well, you can lean on me. Yeah, we all need someone we can lean on. And if you want it, well, you can lean on me. She said my breasts, they will always be open. Baby, you can rest your weary head right on me. And there will always be a space in my parking lot.
What does space in my parking lot mean? Is that a euphemism? Is that a little bit of double entendre there?
Need a little coke and sympathy. Yeah, we all need someone we can dream on.
I do like the bluesy honky tonk stuff going on.
And if you want it, baby, well, you can dream on me. Yeah, we all need someone we can cream on.
Cream on. What is this song? What is this?
Yeah, and if you want to, well, you can cream on me. I was dreaming of a steel guitar engagement. Then you took my hair in scented jasmine tea. But you knifed me in my dirty, filthy basement with that jaded, faded, junkie nurse. Oh, what pleasant company! God, we all need someone we can lean on. Yeah, well, you can feel on me. Hey, take my arm, take my leg. Oh, baby, don't you take my head.
To be honest, I thought he was about to say, "Go on, baby, take my head," but I suppose that would have been too on the nose.
Yeah, we all need someone we can bleed on.
See, I'm not even sure whether to take it seriously or to just consider it to be all innuendos. I like the song. I think it's got a great sense of humor, though.
Yeah, if you want
Oh no. Oh no. What is this? Oh no. Katanagi. Ignoring the lyrics, the accompaniment is phenomenal, and to be fair, the lyrics are pretty. I mean, I'm no prude, man, but I don't know if you get away with it these days. I don't know that like a rock and roll band with the exposure of Rolling Stones can necessarily get away with being this on the nose nowadays. You know, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just. This is a hell of a track. I didn't know the Rolling Stones got this dirty. I had no idea the Rolling Stones got this dirty. I have not listened to the Rolling Stones. It doesn't make me want to listen to them, but I gotta respect the Get That Bag, man. Like, they made an entire career off of music like this, as well as a lot of other good tracks, but just, that's wild, dude. That is wild. That is wild. That blows my mind. That's, oh wow. Oh, I just realized I went over 5 minutes as well. No, I'm sorry, I went over the 5 minute mark. Let's talk about this track. I'm gonna put the lyrics away. I think that this track is really creative, and I think that it's well written. The story, I liked the story. Not because of the perversion or whatever, but it's just, well, to be fair, I do appreciate how creative they were, but it's like, I appreciate the balls for them to do this. I think that to just want to make a song like this and to release it on commercial, like through a commercial label. I mean, they released this through, I assume it would have been a major at the time, considering the level they were at. Came out in 1969. You know, later, you know, they call themselves the world's greatest rock and roll band in the late 60s. It's well done. The story is good. It's not for kids, but music doesn't need to be for kids for it to be good. You know, we're all adults here, I hope. If not, well, welcome. I didn't set this to be for kids, but anyways, still good track. But yeah, the lyrics are definitely interesting. The track itself, I liked the way the tone with the guitars was done. I think the recording quality was great for that period. I think that it was easy to hear everything. It sounded like a live performance. It sounded like they were playing together. It was a great take. I think the performance itself was captured really well within the studio. And I think that would be the second thing, the performance. The third thing that I appreciated about this track was, how do I describe it? It was simply that they managed to almost make it sound classy because of the way that the solos were done, the shuffles on the kit, the honky-tonk piano. They almost managed to make a song sound like, if you weren't paying attention to the lyrics, I think you'd think it was a different type of track. But when you look at it in full, it's like admirable that they managed to make that work with the different elements there. Maybe that is part of what made them huge and successful. I just don't know enough about the Rolling Stones to really comment, but thank you to Katanagi for putting that through. It was definitely a hell of a ride. We're going to continue. We have got this track from Jamie Lynn. Tokyo Incidents. That was a ride. Tokyo Incidents. Let's go. Oh, Sins.
You're all alone, you're fixing ramen, you pour hot water in. Where are your thoughts wandering as you wait there?
It's kind of trippy with those synths, eh? Loving the drum grooves though. Fantastic. There's like a 16th note groove overall with the way things are phrased with the combination of the keys, the bass, the guitars, and the drums, and the vocals of Sheena Ringo. And I'm kind of living for it because of the 16th note implications. There's a constant sense of movement and pace there, but it's so down to earth and simultaneously pleasant to listen to because of that. It's a great juxtaposition between the grooves and rhythms present and the smoothness of the various textures and tones within the rhythm and synth section. Great call and response between male and female vocals. Oh, I get it. I thought that they were literally talking about the high that you get from drugs. I did not realize they were talking about the high that you get from music. That makes a lot more sense. Great. That was so cool. That was really dope. I dig that. I think that there was a really positive energy. So first of all, thank you to Jamie Lynn 9290. Thank you for your request for this track from Tokyo Incidents. Three things I liked about that track. The first is the variety with the vocals, not just from Sheena Ringo on the main leads, but also from the rest of the band kind of doing the call and response and singing some lines between them and going backwards and forwards in those chorus sections. I thought that was really cool. It was also nice to have some of it in English as well, so that I could personally understand it because I do not speak Japanese natively. I think it's great when musicians can go between the two to give a little bit extra context to a wider audience who might still be able to enjoy it. They can just get a little bit of an idea of what's going on, right? I think in addition to that, what we've got going on is the situation with the actual composition itself. There's a wonderful intricacy to the way the guitars, bass, keys, and drums move forward. with the 16th note grooves on the drums with some of the offbeats going on there. The bass line funky is hella nice and poignant in the mix. The guitars with the funky wah pedal aesthetic going on the sides. And the keys harmonizing not just with the extensions with the chords, but also maybe doing some mirroring, arpeggiating of other parts within it. And just the three, it's just, I liked how thematically the twist it was a really wholesome piece, because I think it was talking about getting high off of music, and that's something that I can always get behind. I think that there's a lot of joy that you can get from listening to music, and it's a great and productive way of finding a better life, a better way of enjoying stuff than, in my opinion, than other means. So I'm really happy that they made a song like this. I think it's very wholesome, and thank you to Jamie Lynn for submitting that pick. But we're going to continue now with a track from, that was Jamie Lynn, from Rick HX1BX. It's very difficult with some of these names. I wish that YouTube would go back to just having the names of the people as opposed to the ats. I understand they're trying to make it specific to the account itself, but I don't know how many people are aware of the fact that their names have changed to the ats. You know, when they comment, I suppose you'd have to just figure that out by virtue of being in that position. But I really wish that that would stop doing that. I have to be more careful, I suppose. But anyways, Garden by Fujikaze from Rick C. Let us continue. Garden. This is his most recent album, isn't it? Phenomenal use of the organ there with the vibrato there. Huge power to the drum kit. It's excellent. It's a really great track. The smooth, sultry performance from Fujikaze is mirrored well by what's going on with the rest of the arrangement with the organs, the drum focus, the acoustic kit is to die for. It's on brand. Oh, key change. Or modulation. Great. So let's pause again, just real briefly, because I think that it's a testament to the strength of a motif that you can have a relative consistency with the instruments involved in it and still find it equally as compelling. The only thing I would say is, obviously, if I understood the lyrics natively, I would get a better feel for it. But for people, again, who understand the language natively, I'm sure you guys are having a wonderful time. I'm having a great time, don't get me wrong. Oh, huge. Huge sounding. And we're just ending it with the vocal runs. Fantastic chromatic shifts there. It would be fantastic to be able to sing like Fujikaze. I would obviously. I think a lot of people would want a voice like his. It's just tremendous. There's such a wonderful warmth in the sense of it's very friendly, regardless of whatever music he puts forward. I don't think I've heard a track where he tries to get a bit more raunchy and quote unquote hard with it. It's just not his thing, and I adore that to pieces. He's found a niche style that he's comfortable with, and it works well for him. Garden, 3 things I liked about that. Thanks again to Rixie for submitting the track. 3 things I liked about it. 1, I think that there was a lot of color and variety to the vocal melodies within the performance, as well as the harmonies that we had in some of the larger, more intense parts. I think that's a really important thing to establish. What we have is an environment where you have such complexity, I suppose, with the second thing being the wonderful nature of some of those chord progressions as well. Really fascinating extensions there harmonically, especially in those upper registers with the 7th intervals. But we have a lot of no-no notes. Notes you can't really hit or vibe with unless you absolutely 100% know what you're doing as a singer, as a composer. And what Fuji does is their intricate understanding music theory and composition combined with knowing what rules to break and where to be able to do it. It illustrates a track where, for Fuji, I just don't think there's a limit for him. I think he's going to continue to try and find new spaces and new niches to carve out little unique findings there. And it's very exciting listening to Fuji because of that. He's not afraid to play the wrong note because he understands that he can simply just change things and warp them through key changes or parallel majors or minors or chromatic shifts there to kind of have interesting spicy bits there with a bit of tension to then resolve to go back into the roots, like the 2-5-1s are examples with the jazz progressions. There's a lot to love. I think finally what makes it huge is that the first maybe half or 2/3 is relatively easy to access and it's consistent. And I remember pausing at that 2/3 mark and going, I like the fact that the motif repeats and that it's still interesting despite a relative, like a little bit less kind of fancy stuff going on, or like a little bit less kind of compositional variety than I'd usually expect by that point. But the strength of it was simply because of the vocals, because of everything else was very compelling, especially with the warmth of those organs they were to die for. But then we got huge in the stereo field and things went and warped around to the sides. And I think that was wonderful because you run the gauntlet, right? You run the gauntlet when you have a track that's consistent of it becoming a little bit uninteresting at a certain point. And I think Fuji found the correct point to go and expand it and make it wonderful, and that part there, it just clicked. I got the track and it was very well done. So thank you to Rixie for putting forward more Fujikaze. I had a great time with it. Just going to check that I put that into the playlist. I have. We're looking good. We're going to continue with this track from NFS titled In Between Days. I assume that it's the Cure In Between Days, but that's okay. We will continue. I am wondering if we meant this. Get rid of that as well. So, plot twist, I haven't really listened to The Cure. I don't know a lot about them, but they seem pretty dope. Apparently his voice is still just as good now as it used to be when he first came out, which is phenomenal, really. Sick. Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, I love the drums as well. Like, the intricacy with some of those fills, they're like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, like, that'd be almost grade 8 levels of drumming there. The guy can clearly play the kid.
Was wrong when I said it was true, that it couldn't be me and me her in between without you.
And that synth lead continue without is effervescent, man.
Yesterday I got so scared I shivered like a child. Yesterday away from you, it froze me deep inside. Come back, don't walk away. Come back today. Come back, what can't you see? Come back to me. And I know I was wrong when I said it was true, that it couldn't be me and be her in between without you.
That it couldn't be me and be her in between without you. I'm not sure what that means. Is that insinuating that there is someone, like, is it going between people? Like, that you're in a relationship with or something like that? Is it saying you don't want to commit to some person, you don't want to go, but is that it? Come back. I'm assuming that it could be that. We're regretting that statement we made, I suppose. Great. Awesome. No, that was fantastic. I had a great time with that. I think that that track, you know, when Shin Da, you've said, I like the way this voice sings. It reminds me of the Western style I listened to when I was young. I like it too. You know, like when you look at the guys in The Cure with the gothic makeup and all the black and everything like that, I suppose for me growing up when I was a teenager, a lot of the stuff where people dressed in black, it wasn't like this. A lot of the gothic stuff was metal when I was growing up, so you had really heavy sounding guitars and drums and stuff like that. It wasn't like this movement. It was it on steroids. I think that I would have been just as appreciative of this growing up as if I would have been without the metal. But 3 things I like about this, thanks again to NFS685 for this track. The first thing I enjoyed about this is I really appreciate the vocal style. I think that it is a very easily recognizable style of vocals. I think it doesn't sound overproduced and over kind of like taut. It's someone who is comfortable with their range and expression, and just they've got how do I describe it? A timbre, a texture and timbre that is easily identifiable. And I don't think there's many singers that sound like the guy from The Cure. Especially these days. Apparently he's very good live at the moment. I think that in addition to the vocal performance there with a really compelling vocal style as well as the melodies and the harmonies and the sides, we have a wonderful amount of technicality to the percussion that I think is really positive, because you can have a track like this and accent the quarter notes, the 1, 2, 3, 4s, and you can probably get away with it and call it a day, but we didn't do that here. We had some interesting 16th note fills there, exploring the toms and the rest of the parts of the kit. So that was great. Now, we didn't sleep on that part. And I think to contrast that, we had a lot of energy with the guitar parts, you know, for number 3, but the synth lead was the star of the show, and it was almost as important as the vocals, in that it created a sense of character and something that was quite identifiable within this from maybe other tracks from The Cure, but at the same time, it never tried to overtake what the vocalist was doing. The synth lead managed to stay in the background, whilst also providing a unique sort of like an identifier for it. And I know that The Cure probably have synth parts in other tracks, but I just want to show some appreciation for a band when they already have quite a colorful arrangement, to then be able to include something else as a competitive lead, but then for it to simultaneously work with what's going on as the main focal point. So shout out to The Cure for that. Really great track. Thank you to NFS 685 to that. Now, we have time for one more track today. To reiterate, if you have submitted tracks for this fan request, don't worry. We will be doing the rest next week. So don't worry. I will schedule that. It will be done. I want to make sure that we get all these tracks done. Please do not go and add tracks to the existing community post. At this point, they will not be added for next week because you needed to put them in before the start of today's session. But anyways, we will continue with the final track for today from Chromono from Daoko. Daoko. Keikaku Soup says Daoko hype. I don't know who Daoko is, but I'm excited to hear them through. Chromono, EKGR, let us do this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. いつも通り人混みの通りお金を時間だ手に入れに行こうすれ違った女たちの造形ばかりが目に入るいびつねパーツを隠すのも技の一つだと秘密は自分だけで守っていこう
So for anyone watching, why do you like Daoko? I think she's got a reasonably unique voice. I like the effect of it, but I also equally enjoy the background, the composition, the tone of the instruments. Very busy, but that's okay. Okay, it actually has quite a unique sort of groove to and tone to it. It kind of sounds like that type of house music, that electronic music, which is based on like jazz grooves and swing movements. But it also has some interesting high-end sort of cymbal tinges there that make it sparkle. Okay. Those drums are insane, man. Those fills are ridiculous. I really need to give a shout out to the drumming. I'm a drummer, and I'm currently redoing all the grade 8s for each of the 5 instruments I teach: guitar, bass, drums, piano, and ukulele. I've done the ukulele. So I did a ukulele cover of the Holier Than Thou by Metallica, and I'm not necessarily happy with the video quality, simply because my phone apparently kind of shit itself with the video. But yeah, I'm doing grade 8 at the moment. And grade 8, this is so far beyond like the highest level that people typically do when they do grading. those snare parts with those buzz rolls and all that are ridiculous. And the bass line thumping forward is so cool, man. Such a good instrumental performance. Oh, we are rapping now. Thank you, Kate. Thank you. Appreciate that. Awesome. Wonderful. That's really great. How do I describe this one for the last track of today? Thank you, first of all, to Chromino for bringing that forward. It was a great track. I haven't listened to Daoko before. Daoko. Not sure how to pronounce Daoko. Daoko. They're a great singer. At the same time, while I appreciate the vocal quality, I think, if I was to be fair, one of the things I enjoy is her vocal ability to not only to sing that well, but also to rap. I think that the flow at the end was what sold me on that part. The variety within the vocal performance is great, and the fact that we tried different things and nailed them with there were no weak points. There was an interesting, almost ethereal tone to some of the legato passages there. And we were punchy enough with the phrasing in the bars for it to matter. It was good. But the two things I really appreciated about this were, one, again, the combination of the bass lines, but also just the absolutely redonkulous drums. The grooves there, the chops, the attention to detail with the cymbal bell hits, plus the cowbell and other parts. The percussion is phenomenal in this track. It is probably my favorite part about this is the percussion. I love the almost eccentricity with it, the unusual textures and tones we chose there, the way we approach things, and kind of like I fell in love with the drums all over again listening through this. I think finally it was the attention to detail with the filtering of the various components. We didn't have everything. I think there may have been some automation on the panning or low high pass filters on various sections within this track, where things sounded suddenly brighter, but they're a little bit sort of like more kind of low key before that. I'm not sure if that's a compositional thing or like a production thing, but either way, it's just really promising. It's really good for a first impression when you have someone be able to handle the production, the performance, and the vocals that well. I'm not sure what the story is, because I cannot understand the language natively, but nonetheless, I'm nevertheless appreciative of my ability to be able to listen to this. And so thank you to Chromino again for that wonderful track. But more importantly, thank you to all of you wonderful people who have submitted tracks for me to listen through today for the fan request number 39. I have had a good time listening through these tracks. While I will miss doing these fan requests in future, I look forward to reviewing more of your music. I still want to continue with album reviews, for example, and all that kind of stuff. But more importantly, to those of you who have had your tracks heard today, thank you for your patience and waiting for them to be played. I will endeavor to write a list of the people whose songs have been played within a comment on a pinned post on this fan request live stream. A final reminder, and I know I've talked about this a lot, a final reminder that anybody who did not get their tracks played today will get their tracks played next Saturday. They'll all be done. I want to make sure that we leave everything on a nice note as I continue on to the next thing. As of today, the channel has hit 9,000 subscribers. I'm very happy about this. I wanted to hit 10K by the end of the year, and it's not like an arbitrary number thing. It more or less lets me know that what I'm doing on this channel, it is appealing to more people every year. A positive subscriber growth is not, because I don't earn money from these reviews. It's not about the money. It's simply knowing that if I make a video, well, I mean, I make money from the Fiverr videos and stuff like that. But like stuff like the fan requests, but also like if I was to do album discography videos and stuff like that I want to do, no one's paying me to do those. And I just want to see if I can make videos that will help people to understand their favorite music better and just go from there. But anyways, look, thank you for your support on the channel. Thank you for submitting tracks today. Next weekend, we'll do the remainder of the fan requests. I will endeavor to put a list of the people whose track got played on the comment underneath this pin post today. Please make sure to have a fantastic weekend. If there are tracks that you enjoyed today, yes. So there will be the 14th JHL album review. We've hit 9K, so as promised, I'll do it. I would be keen to do it. I want to confirm when that date will be for the JHL live stream, but I have typically, once we've hit a subscriber count, I have typically gone for like the weekend after. However, I cannot do next Saturday. I can't do next Saturday because we're doing the remainder of the fan request live stream requests. So I would say that if we do not do JHL next week, I'll schedule it. But we will be doing the 14th. I am also due to do a ranking video for JHL's album 6 to 10. That is on my mind at the moment. So we'll go from there, okay? But yeah. Thank you, Zhang Clark. I'll definitely have a look through the 14th. Andreas says thank you. Andreas says thank you. I truly had a good time all these live streams. Andreas, when I wasn't making egregious mistakes and careless mistakes with the way that I conducted myself in the live streams, there were a lot of times during these live streams where I had a great time too. And to be honest, I would not have had as much fun in these live streams if it weren't for you guys tuning in and listening to music with me. It would not have been, provably would not have been the same experience doing what I do as a music reviewer if I didn't have you guys along for the ride. So thank you for being a part of my journey to listen through literally hundreds of different songs as per the fan request playlist. If you guys have had a great time, don't worry, it's reciprocated. I've also had a great time. So if you're wanting to listen through all these tracks, go to the playlist, go on a journey. And Kei Kaku Soup says, if you enjoyed the last track, Daoko would be a great choice for an album review. It would be a great time. I'm not going to commit to it, but it's something we could potentially look at. But anyways, have a great weekend, guys. I'll be in touch about the JHL live stream. Stay cool, Shredders. Spiderhands out. 3, 2,